Welcome back. Mercedes Schlapp is a senior advisor to the Trump re-election campaign and previously worked in the White House. I asked for her reaction to our Biden interview.
Joe Biden was obviously disastrous in talking about his policies. I mean, you go down the line. Let's just take Cuba, for instance, where he's already saying that he's going to backtrack, go back to the days of the Obama-Biden policies, where President Obama praised the Castro regime and basically said that they're doing great on the issues of education and healthcare, despite the fact that we know in Cuba the human rights situation has gotten worse. And the fact that Cuban people remain oppressed under this communist regime. And so it sounds like Biden is more aligned with Bernie Sanders when it comes to Cuba and accepting these socialist ideas and being soft on a dictator. And what we know about Cuba is that the communist regime in Cuba is propping up the Venezuelan dictator, Nicolás Maduro. And so you're basically supporting these dictatorships in the Caribbean and in Latin America. I think that's a huge problem for Joe Biden.
Will you admit that as it relates right now, that the Trump policy towards Venezuela has not resulted in what he wanted? Nicolás Maduro is still in power. Guaido is still on the outs. So what is different about the Trump's policy and when it comes to Venezuela when it hasn't produced any results yet?
Look, it's important that we continue with the maximum pressure campaign on Venezuela. And this is something that the president supports. It is why we've recognized Juan Guaido as a legitimate leader in Venezuela. We've seen the fraud that has happened under Nicolás Maduro. And we have to keep putting on this pressure. This means putting on additional sanctions on the Maduro regime, on those associated with Maduro, to keep putting on that pressure to see if we can see effective change. Look, we've gotten close one time. I have hope that we will see change in Venezuela. Sadly, it's been the Venezuelan people who have suffered under the Maduro regime, and we cannot allow a Joe Biden presidency to basically say that they're going to support the Cuban communists who then prop up Nicolás Maduro. It is the wrong policy for the U.S. to be advocates of these dictators.
The president seemed initially to support the idea of having a stimulus that would help the states and local municipalities deal with this crisis. He seems to have backed away from it, wanting to make it a partisan issue, saying that we're not going to be bailing out poorly democratically run states. Is this really the time to play politics with these states?
First of all, the president has worked very closely with so many of these governors and has actually gotten high praise for the work that he's done and able to, for example, you look in the case of New York, where the president has been able to get the naval ships up to the coast of New York to ensure that the New Yorkers are getting the ventilators they need. He's focusing on these hot spots to ensure that they're getting the necessary testing and the rapid response that we need at this moment in time. So I think that the president has worked very closely, and the vice president, with these governors across the states. Now, the reality is that the Democrat governors love to spend a lot of money. And yes, they are known for one thing. They are known for raising taxes. And so the question is going to become, are we going to have to pay for the expensive spending situation that these Democrat governors push for? I think that's going to be a matter of having these conversations, obviously, with the governors. And, Congress is going to have a role in deciding what to do. I think the most important thing right now is that we are ensuring that the American people, those individuals, those families, are receiving relief and getting immediate relief. And that is why we saw the president sign the CARES Act. That's why we've seen the president ensure that individuals in need are receiving an economic stimulus payment. It's why we've supported, and in a bipartisan fashion, the Paycheck Protection Program that we know is benefiting small businesses. This is a risk-free loan, and we're seeing small businesses coming back to us and saying, thank God we have this loan, because now we're going to be able to get through another month. So I think that we've taken steps to ensure that the relief is going straight to the American people, to the American worker, and to American businesses.
It's also coming with, in some cases, with a little note from the president telling, basically saying, I hope this helps you. isn't that campaigning? I mean, why should the president feel the need to include his name on the checks? Why should the president be including notes that are going out along with some of the checks to folks? Isn't that something that you should be doing from the campaign, not from the Treasury Department?
Look, right here at the campaign, we're working to ensure that our grassroots are making calls to persuadable voters, that we're getting the president's message out. You know what? President Trump is the president of all Americans, whether you like him or you don't like him. He's working 24/7 to ensure that he is providing the relief to the American people. And so the president wanted to send that message of hope to these families, to these individuals. This is not a campaign tactic. This is the president being the president. And he wants to ensure that regardless of whether you're a Democrat or Republican, that you're getting the help you need to ensure that we're able to get through this pandemic together. And I do find that the Democrats are being very silly when it comes to who signed the letter. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous.
In my interview with Biden, I focused my limited time on issues that only a South Florida reporter would ask. So I didn't ask Biden about Tara Reid's allegations. I received some criticism afterward. So I asked Mercedes Schlapp for her thoughts about the media's coverage.
Well, there's been a double standard, there's no question. I mean, I lived through the Brett Kavanaugh hearings and how they tried to destroy my friend's life in terms of stopping him from getting on the Supreme Court. And those were false allegations. I mean, here you have Tara Reid, who we have her mother recorded on a video, basically on this phone call with Larry King, talking about the issue. Tara Reid has come out, and yet the Democrats are silent about it. They don't even want to touch the subject. This is after the Democrats targeted and tried to destroy Brett Kavanaugh, yet they are silent on this issue of Tara Reid. And I have to say, some members of the media, this happened on the Sunday shows, the national Sunday shows, where there was Democrat allies on the shows, not one question on Tara Reid. And it's an issue that is popping up, and it is something that I think that Joe Biden will need to answer and not stay silent on this issue.
On Friday, Biden addressed Reid's allegations on MSNBC. Here's part of what he said.
Did you sexually assault Tara Reid?
No, it is not true. I'm saying unequivocally, it never happened. And it didn't. It never happened.
She says you sexually assaulted her.
Look, from the very beginning, I've said believing women means taking the woman's claims seriously. When she steps forward and then vet it, look into it. That's true in this case as well. Women have a right to be heard, and the press should rigorously investigate claims they make. I'll always uphold that principle. But in the end, in every case, the truth is what matters. And in this case, the truth is the claims are false.
We'll be right back with Mayor Francis Suarez.